Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. Well, just yesterday Blizzard have pushed a very significant update to the PTR in Classic World of Warcraft concerning spell batching. This was something which at the outset of Classic, amidst the whole no changes movement, it gained a lot of popularity and was quite unanimously seen as a good thing, as it was going to recreate some spell interactions which we had back then in vanilla today, so it was going to give us a more authentic Classic. What we've experienced over time is it's caused a lot more frustrations and drama than being able to give us something positive back. Spell batching is something that really affects everything in Classic, and if you're just coming back now in anticipation of the Burning Crusade and you're not really sure what this means, it's a very good thing. To give you a real quick rundown, a 400 millisecond batch loop means the server resolves spell queries every 0.4 seconds. This means you can often experience delays during combat, clunky interactions like buying items from vendors feeling very slow, or for example you cast a heal on an ally which appears to have fired off from your point of view, but the positive aura to apply the heal is placed in the batching loop to be resolved within the next interval, during which time your ally who should have already received the heal takes lethal damage, and you're both left scratching your heads as to how they just died there. Moving the batching loop from 400 to 10 ms or 0.01 seconds is essentially like saying we are straight up removing spell batching. And as it's being tested on the PTR at the moment, they're pretty much erring on the side of caution instead of throwing it straight in the game, and I'm quite surprised they're doing it this early. I wouldn't have thought a change like this would have come to the actual TBC beta phase, but it happening now instead of then is a very positive step, and the plan is for them just to have it set to 10 initially and see how it feels. I thought if they were to change it, it'd be to 100 or maybe 50, but this is going straight from the highest ever batching loop to nearly the lowest. So you may already know, but it was back in Warlords of Draenor when this change was made on the retail game, where they implemented the change which we are now testing on the PTR. Reading from the update, with Warlords of Draenor, the system will now process each action as quickly as possible with a predicted latency of 1 to 10 ms. This should make the game feel significantly more responsive, and is predicted to reduce the frequency of latency-caused death and cooldown activation by around 40 times. And the level of impact you should expect this change to have on Classic should be nothing short of huge. So of course I wanted to actually hop on and test this myself and see how the update felt. However, as you may be aware, I'm not American, nor do I live in America. I live in a small country called England. And unfortunately, the PTR servers are hosted in NA, so despite the server side now being at 10 ms, I'm playing at about 150. So you may think that any testing I'd be able to do would be completely scuffed. And actually, despite me playing on 150 ping, it's still so much better than 400 has ever been. The only issue for me doing my testing is it can be a bit inconsistent because, well, this is why batching was introduced in the first place for people with higher pings. Then again, getting 150 ping from NA isn't exactly bad either. So having a bunch of level 60s as I do, I set off to try and test a whole bunch of different things where I thought batching would be impactful. The first thing I set off to do was trying to test actually using Feral Charge as a reliable interrupt, instead of shifting into Burr having a delay and then being able to use the charge. And I can say just using the buttons separate from each other, I tried to macro them in as well, but it seemed to be more delayed. It is very quick. Conversely, I went to go and test this on the live server, and there is an enormous delay from getting the bonus rage applied in bear form from the Fura talent, which looking at these two side by side, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. On the other side, going into cat form and using Prowl seemed pretty responsive on both. Buying at the shop was probably one of the biggest changes that I noticed between the PTR and live. On the PTR, it's just a totally different experience. You can just spam click away and buy things, and you'll actually get the correct amount of items in your inventory pretty much as fast as you can buy them. Whereas on live at the moment, the delay is just absolutely enormous. Looking at it side by side again, you can pretty much see what I mean. It is an absolute night and day difference. And it's this kind of thing which really brings into light just how noticeable the 400 ms loop can be. I went and tested Shatter a little bit on my mages. I feel as though people are going to bring it up, but even with the Shatter talent, they're only about 56% crit, so it was still inconsistent for me, but it appeared to be working fine. Batching potions after you use your Hearthstone is still fine, so you're still safe from people trying to debuff you as you teleport or Hearthstone, I guess, if you've got an invisibility potion. This also works on retail, by the way. Elemental Mastery for me still worked. It was a little bit inconsistent, but I'm going to put that down to my personal MS, not the server side. I found it to be a lot easier the closer I was to the target, and when I wasn't spamming Earthshock, but I just queued it as a next spell kind of thing. Regardless of this interaction, it gets removed in TBC in patch 2.3, so it's already got a sell-by date on it. Feign Death on Hunter worked absolutely perfectly. This is perhaps my favourite part of the testing. I had different scenarios where I had a bunch of different mobs hitting me, and I was just spam pressing forwards and Feign Death at the same time, which is a really bad idea, because the chance your Feign Death batches with your movement and the mobs don't de-aggro is pretty high, but I wasn't able to break Feign Death, and I really tried to as well. I also looked at the time between scatter trapping, which seemed good as well. I did a little bit of testing on my rogue, trying to go into stealth and then using abilities, but honestly, I just don't have enough hours clocked on the class to really appreciate the difference. I did give Lay on Hands as well a go, but I feel as though it needs some more testing. And with this in mind, a lot of people are going to bring up that this is a great change for the Burning Crusade moving forwards, and it's a shame it didn't happen earlier in Classic, which, yeah, I can only ever agree with, really. The batching change, even if it's on a 10 MS loop, will not affect Shatter combos in TBC. Shatter works on the basis that when the spell leaves your hand and the target is frozen, it will be applied. So as long as you're spamming Ice Lance after your Frostbolt, it's not going to be a problem. Using spells like Shadow Word Death on blind, again, this is still doable to this day on retail. There is a big delay between when death hits and the recoil damage hits you back. Again, to go over some things you can do on retail, you're still able to vanish abilities on WoW. It's just a much shorter window to do as well. As far for vanishing things like cheap shots or blind, I'm not entirely sure. Vanish should be a more reliable spell to use, and you get knocked out of it less often as a result though. But with all this said, once TBC beta is a thing, and I'm hoping they just give us level 70s to test stuff at some point, it'll take all of 10 minutes to check back and report on these interactions, and I know for certain I'll be doing that if I'm able to do so. Apparently as well, Songflower still works as per posts I have seen, which world buffers are no doubt going to be happy about. There is still so many things that need testing. How does it actually feel to heal in a raid now? Execute rage batching? Does this change the speedrun meta? So I'd encourage you, if you can, to get on the PTR and test stuff for your class and see how it feels, see if there's any issues with having a much lower spell batching window, because I can't think of any off the top of my head which are really negative for the game. I'm really hoping this is something that is put in the game, maybe on the TBC pre-patch, and that maybe we'll even see melee leeway addressed as the next thing on the checklist, and they're just going one thing at once. That would be very good to see, as I don't think we need spell batching or that in the game really moving forwards. Anyways, if you've been on the PTR, let me know how it's been for you, whether you've been able to find anything that's not working correctly, or whether it feels like an entirely different game. And of course, if you're playing on American servers and your ping at home's around 20 or so, and the server's down to 10, it must feel like a totally different game. You'll have to let me know how it is. In any event, thanks so much for watching and listening in. Let's hope this is put in the game, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon. If you like what you see, do give the video a like and subscribe, as there will be plenty more to come. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.